Well, I love animals, number one. And, I live in this condominium in St. Petersburg, and, a lot of the residents there have pets. And, whether it's a dog or a cat or a bird, those pets are like a family member. I mean, when I was a kid, we had a dog. Her name was Sandy. And Sandy was precious. She was half black and tan deer hunter and half Labrador retriever. And just a sweet, sweet dog. And so I think, just like they're all creatures of God. So, I mean, I'd be happy to be that. Well, to your point, too, we've unfortunately had a record year of deaths of manatees in Florida this past year. And again, I think that goes back in part to the environment and how this governor has led our state and what's happening with the Caloosahatchee River and the St. Lucie River and the outflows from Lake Okeechobee. And then he has the gall to say and blame it on the President of the United States. I mean, it's just absurd. And I know better because I was your governor. And when I came in as your governor before, the same thing was happening. And we stopped it by appointing good people to the water management districts and saying, stop the discharges. It's not the right thing to do. And my approach was, let's buy the Everglades and restore the natural flow that God put in place from the Kissimmee River down through the lake and on into Florida Bay. And if you have a good filter like that, you don't have to do those kind of discharges. I could go on and on. But yeah, Herman.
One of the great governors of Florida, Reuben Askew, and there's a lot of parallels, but tomorrow they're having a memorial service
I'm going.
in his memory. I know you
Yes,
are, but your relationship with him and how you would describe him as a governor and how you try to follow in his footsteps.
I'll tell you a true story about Governor Askew. Great man, unquestioned integrity and truth and clarity. When I got elected governor last time, I tried to meet with each of the past governors that were still alive because I just thought that, if you were going into a new job and you could talk to somebody who had done it before, you might benefit from their wisdom, which you do. And so I called Governor Askew, and I thought this would be the easiest meeting to set up because he lived in Tallahassee. And so we were doing our transition, and our transition office was in the Holland building right across from the Capitol on Monroe Street. And Governor Askew said, sure, I'll come and I'll visit with you. And he said, but there's a condition to that. And I said, what's that? He said, well, I will only meet with you if it's just you and me. Just governor to governor, no staff, just the two of us. And I said, of course, that's easy. And so he came over to the Holland building, and we secured just a conference table in a conference room and sat down and spoke for about an hour. And just pearls of wisdom coming out of this guy. It's just great and very kind of him to give of his time. But one thing really stood out that he told me that day before I got sworn in. He said, Charlie, people of Florida elected you. They put their faith and their trust in you with this office. And it's a wonderful office. You can do so many good things. And he said, because you're about to become governor, every single day that you are, people are going to ask you to do things or not do things or support things or veto things. And he said, let me give you this most important piece of advice. When they come to you and ask you to do something, and then they start to say in the middle of the presentation, well, Governor, if you just look at it this way, you can really see how it's okay and the right thing to do. He said, that's when the conversation should end. He said, because those people elected you, and they put their faith and their trust in you. And you should not be bought, and you shouldn't be convinced to do something that you know in your heart already is not right. That's Reuben Askew. So I'm honored to be able to go to his services tomorrow in Tallahassee. Thank you, Herman. Great question. Yes, ma'am.
I've been a public high school teacher in Dade County for about 7 years now. And
Thank you for teaching.
As you can imagine, these last few years have been very difficult for us as teachers, as just the fear. And just, I want to know how you feel about this lovely debacle of merit-based pay that we've had hanging over our head.
Well, I vetoed it when I was.
And I just want to be sure we're still on the same page.
We're on the same page.